Big old Freddy the Great here is basically what would happen if the Bismarck tried to bulk up and become the Große Kurve first. Hello, I am Xarkun and this is World of Warships Legends. Today I've got a bit of a short one for you, mostly because I think this is a pretty good game that shows off the strengths of the new Tier 8 German battleship Friedrich der Große, but also because I did sort of not manage to record the results screen, so I apologize for that, but I think this footage here should give you a good idea of how this ship performs. And I have some things to say about it because it's a bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, if you take a look at the hull, it is sort of like a Bismarck hull, just somewhat improved. It's much more heavily armored, highly resistant to high explosive as far as the side and the deck armor goes, and it even has pretty thick armor extending part of the way over its bow, although the bow and the stern are both 32 millimeters, pretty standard value. Nevertheless, this thing is quite tanky. It is perfectly capable of shrugging off the largest shells in the game when properly angled. But the problem comes in the process of trying to angle with this ship. There's something unique about Freddy's Citadel scheme here. It's turtleback like the rest of the Germans, and I would try to show you a visual representation of what I'm talking about in the form of a fancy new overlay. However, the only way I can really see the armor viewer is in the port that we have now. And as you all know, it's sort of like a workshop desk port or something. And frankly, I find it very hard to see what is going on with the turtleback in this port, just because of the mechanics of how you have to move the camera around to look at it. I'm sure you know what I mean if you've spent any kind of time trying to examine a ship's armor viewer in this current port that we have for the update. But I can describe it to you. The turtleback armor on the Friedrich, the slopes of it, they do not angle downward as steeply as, say, the slopes on the GK's armor. They're quite flat, and I think that flatness makes it so that enemy shells have an easier time penetrating that Citadel slope and striking the actual Citadel. But even if that's not the case, it looks to me like the actual slope of the Citadel does not extend very far past the waterline on this ship, which means if you are in a turn, any kind of turn, it doesn't matter how hard of a turn it is, you're likely to lift that slope out of the water and expose the Citadel to enemy shells. So I found both shooting at this ship and being shot at in this ship that it is one of the most susceptible German ships to getting citadeled despite its turtleback. That doesn't mean the turtleback doesn't always work. It does appear to work pretty consistently so long as you aren't too far away and so long as you aren't engaged in a turn. But, like all other German battleships, this thing really benefits the most from getting in close range and making use of its guns, main guns, and secondary guns. Now, I only have this ship halfway upgraded because it has 4 upgrade slots that you have to grind to. So I've got the hull fitted, and I've got the dank 420mm Große Kurve first sized guns on here. So these guns pack bit of a hefty punch, or maybe I didn't have them on here for this game, I actually don't remember. But right now we're engaging a Flander, and I want you to take a look at the secondary hits as they impact the Flanders. The Freddy has 150mm secondary guns, and I think 128, or else they're 105, I'm not sure. But either way, I am pretty convinced that the secondaries on this ship get the proper German secondary penetration, that is quarter penetration, and my evidence for that is that when they hit this Flander, they seem to be doing damage, and I assume that is the 150mm guns, which, if they do have quarter pen, they would be able to pen this Flander everywhere, because he's coated in 32mm of armor. Here we're going for the drive-by on Flanders, as our secondaries hit him, And this is sort of the entire reason I wanted to show you this video, because this ship, despite the things that I just said about its armor scheme being questionable, is actually quite tanky. It also comes with the Hydroacoustic search consumable, although you only get a single minute of duration on that consumable, but it does have a 6-kilometer range to detect ships, so a little bit further range than the Bismarck's sonar, but for all intents and purposes, it is the GK's sonar. And as we all know, I think the GK's sonar with a 60-second duration is a little bit of a joke. But here you can see me caught in a situation where I'm between another Friedrich der Große and also this Flanders. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to take either of them out, but I am going to be able to rack up a good more amount of damage, and I'm going to survive for quite a long time despite the focus by 2 ships on me. And this is primarily why I wanted to show you this battle as my first impressions video of the Friedrich. I am trying to cover all these ships as quickly as possible in first impressions videos, but I do plan to make more detailed and in-depth videos on each of the ships as time goes on. It's just very time consuming with all the new content that we've got added into this game. By the way, we have hit 6,000 subscribers. Don't know if I mentioned that, but thank you guys so much for your support. I really appreciate it. I had no inkling that I would be getting this far when I first started this channel. And unfortunately, I'm not going to get much further in this game, and I'm not going to have a results screen. But you can see here, we did manage to survive quite a while. We got the high caliber medal before we went down, and our secondaries lit a fire on either this Flanders or this FDG, which is going to continue to burn for a little while, and our damage total is going to continue to rise. While you're looking at the sinking hull of the ship here, I'll put up my commander build in an overlay so you can see who I'm using. It's Henry J. Hyde. I did see something about the Halloween commanders coming back to the store for sale. So if you want to pick up any of the Halloween commanders, I think Hyde might be in there. And I don't think there's much doubt that he remains one of, if not the best, commander for German battleships in the game, thanks to his ability to fit the range and accuracy skills, as well as master mechanic, and achieve a full secondary build at the same time. Kondo on there as an inspiration helps with the concealment, allowing you to get a little bit closer to your targets, because of course this ship excels at close range, and of course Franz von Hipper as the other inspiration increases the range of secondaries. As far as how the FDG compares to the Sovietsky Soyuz, I think that ship might be objectively better, but I like the FDG more than I expected to, and I intend to keep playing it. I'll be making another video on it soon. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.